Hello everybody and welcome to a video that I've been looking forward to making. In this video we'll be going back over all of our bets from February to look at what we did well, what we didn't do so well, what we can learn from, and how our profit and loss looked on all the different kind of bets that we had. February was obviously a really good month for us. We made a profit on live bets, pre-fight bets and lab bets, and we'll be taking a look back at all those bets over the next 20 to 30 minutes. So get comfortable, chill out, relax, and enjoy. Now, it feels really good to put this video together because we worked hard in February. You know, there were 3 cards in particular that were really grindy, really difficult. They didn't present many betting opportunities, but despite this, we were able to stay disciplined, keep it tight, and use the sniper approach to grind out some really solid profits. And so hopefully we can keep that going and have an even bigger month in March. Obviously this weekend we've got UFC 259, a phenomenal card stacked top to bottom, and I'm hoping that the cards that we get in March are going to be a hell of a lot more interesting from a betting point of view than the ones we had in February. I feel like those last 2 or 3 cards were a little bit light on solid matchmaking. Didn't really have too many competitive fights, but obviously UFC 259 is going to be almost impossible for this card not to deliver. It looks incredible. So we will be jumping headfirst into the fight research very soon. Please try and join me on as many live streams as you can. The more people that research these fights as a group, the more fun it is. But anyway, let's start by looking at how we performed on our bets in February. So we will kick things off by taking a look at live betting, because that's the easiest kind of thing to look at. It was a very good month for live betting. Obviously we had 4 UFC events in February and we made a profit on every single one of them. 4-0, clean sweep, absolutely crushed. And this just extends that incredible run that we've been on with live betting that now dates all the way back to July. The last time we took a notable loss on a UFC event was the UFC Fight Night Till versus Whittaker card all the way back on the 25th of July. So we haven't really taken a notable loss on a UFC event in about 6 months now, which is incredible. And if we can take a look at how we've done since that Till versus Whittaker card, we can see that we've gone 1, 2, if we just take Bellator out of the equation, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is virtually break even. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, took a loss, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So we've now made a profit live betting 22 of the last 23 events. Obviously, it's just a fucking phenomenal run that we're on. It's not like we're banking any huge profits on a weekly basis, but every single week we're sniping those strong positions, growing our account balances, and keeping that money growing through compound interest. And at the end of the day, like Dale said on Saturday night, hard work is undefeated, and that is how we crush. It's as simple as that. We put in 20 to 30 hours of fight research every single week, so come fight night, we're absolutely unstoppable. We're never going to work less. We're only going to work more. We're only going to work harder and harder and harder until every single one of us has our own fucking helicopter and we're flying out to Vegas, having those meetups we've talked about, and just living the dream, man. I'm dead serious. Profit on the last 22 of the last 23 events. Absolutely crushing it. There's nothing I can really say about live betting. It's got to the point where we're literally unstoppable. It's a joke. I feel it's getting to the point where I'm actually feeling a little bit bad for the bookies. Look at this profitability chart. It's insane. It's the best profitability chart I've ever seen. The profits only go up. We never have a bad period. At worst, we may, float around break even for a few months. But all we do is win. And this ain't fucking stopping anytime soon. So big shout out to everyone in the live betting group. I love every single one of you. And just know it ain't fucking stopping anytime soon. At the end of the day, we can't control how the fighters perform. We can't control how the judges score fights. And we can't control whether we're going to be profitable or not. Because you're there with me every week. 9 times out of 10, we're putting our money in the right position. All we can do is get our money in the strong position and hope the cards fall in our favour. They have been lately. I'm sure a bad run, a sticky run will come eventually, but it's nothing to worry about when it does, because like Dale said, hard fucking work is undefeated, and we're not going to stop working hard anytime soon. So this profitability chart is just going to keep going and going and going and going and going until I'm dead. And it's as simple as that. So, live betting, tremendous success, and, you know, it's only going to get better and better and better over the long term. Now, let's take a look at the pre-fight betting action we had and also the lab bets. So, I still haven't come up with another name for the official bets. The official bets are a little bit sucky. Like, the name is a little bit sucky. Our website has evolved now. What we do has evolved so much where we're now taking an investment approach to betting on MMA, where instead of just having, you know, pre-fight bets and live bets, we've now got a wide range of bets on the site. So if any individual type of bet is struggling for a period, hopefully that short-term period of variance doesn't have a massive impact on our overall profitability, because all the other different kind of bets will be hopefully balancing it out. You know, a rising tide lifts all ships. At the moment, we've got 7 different kinds of bets on the website. I will be adding about 3 or 4 new categories of bets over the next 2 to 3 weeks, which I'm really excited about. Shout out to those of you in the live streams that suggested those categories. I know Rosa came up with some brilliant suggestions, so they're going to be added to the site as soon as I get time. And it's just really cool because with these 7 different kinds of bets on the site, and when we add 3 or 4 more, we're in a position now where if any particular kind of bet is struggling, it doesn't really have anywhere near as big of an impact, because, like I say, everything else balances it out. And this month's been a great example of that. We've made a profit on pretty much everything, but the 1 or 2 areas where we didn't make a profit, like prop bets and main event picks, we barely even noticed it. It wasn't even a scratch, because live bets, pre-fight bets, over-unders, loose bets, and the even money bets did so well. And I can see that only getting better once we introduce these 3 or 4 new categories of bets. Shout out to you, Rosa, Moons, everyone else that came up with some really good suggestions. And so, yeah, live bets, all good, all good. So we covered live bets. We're now going to look at official bets. I need to come up with a different name. We call them official bets just because these are the bets that I've been tracking for a very, very long time. But the whole point of life is to continually evolve, continue to improve, continue to get better. That is the whole purpose of the lab, right? That's the whole purpose of the lab. We're trying to evolve, and so we've kind of evolved past the traditional approach to betting on MMA, but we still have to, obviously, you know, we need to think of a name. Official bets fucking sucks. I need to think of a name. But anyway, let's go over our official bets from last month. So we kicked the month off with a bet on BKFC Knucklemania. Britain Hart came through for us in a huge way. She performed very well against Paige Van Zandt and kicked things off with a nice cheeky little win, even money. So Britain Hart did great. You know, it was quite a comfortable win. Paige Van Zandt gave us some trouble in the 5th round, but aside from that, Britain Hart absolutely cruised to a win. So big shout out to you, Britain Hart. Thank you very much for giving our official bet, which I need to think of a new name for. But big shout out to getting us off to a winning start. Then on the Overeem versus Volkov card, we only had 1 bet, but it was a very, very solid bet. We put 1 unit on Clay Guida to beat Michael Johnson at very, very generous underdog odds. I feel these odds were way off, way off. There's no way Guida should have been this big of an underdog, and he showed that in his performance by beating Michael Johnson quite decisively, and that turned out to be quite a comfortable win for us as well. 1 unit at 2.80 on Clay Guida. You absolute legend, mate. Earlier on in the video, we were saying that this was a very, very tough month for pre-fight betting. There wasn't a lot of strong positions for us to put our money. Therefore, we didn't have any official bets for UFC 258 Usman versus Burns. But obviously, we had tons of lab bets, which we will talk about in a moment. The Blades versus Lewis card was also absolutely brutal. It's very rare that you'll get a card where, you know, there's 14 fights on the card, and it's hard to find, you know, even one single super strong position for us to put our money. But this card was particularly strange. I feel the matchmaking was particularly poor, and that showed on fight night because so many of these matchups either ended very quickly or they were very one-sided, and because of that, there just weren't that many super strong positions for us to put our money, so we passed on this card. Then last weekend, Rosenstrike against Cyril Gann. We had one official bet. We went for 1 unit on Montana De La Rosa to beat Mayra Bueno Silva on the assumption that De La Rosa would be able to use her grappling to dictate where the fight takes place and cash another cheeky little underdog win for us this month, which kind of would have made it 3 underdog wins on official bets, right? Because Guida was the underdog, Britain Hart was the slight underdog. You know, to go 3-0 on underdogs would have been pretty cool. Obviously, we didn't go 3-0 on underdogs. This fight ended in a draw, which means you should have got your refund. Because the fight ended a draw, you should get your money back for the betting side, so that will go down as break even, or a push as they call it in the industry. So check your betting accounts and make sure you got a refund on Montana De La Rosa. Obviously, on the other performance review videos that we've published throughout February, we talked about, you know, the Britain Hart bet, the Clay Guida bet in depth. But because this bet was last weekend, we haven't really had much of a chance to discuss this one. So we can go into a little bit of detail on it now. I personally feel that we got brutally unlucky with this bet. And we kind of got screwed. I would have been really annoyed if we would have taken a loss on this bet because we didn't deserve it. It was pretty harsh the way the fight played out. So in round 1, Montana De La Rosa got in on a really deep body lock takedown with about 2 minutes left to go. She upset Mayra Bueno Silva's balance and was shifting her body weight to the point where she was about to complete a takedown, you know, right up against the cage. Unfortunately, Mayra Bueno Silva grabbed the cage and she was able to use the leverage generated off the cage to stuff the takedown. Now, I think the referee did great in the situation. He did about as good as he could have given the circumstances. He immediately stopped the action, deducted a point from Mayra Bueno Silva, and, you know, restarted the fight in the center of the cage. That's about as good as a referee can do in that position. You know, some people were criticizing the referee online, saying that he shouldn't have taken a point. He should have warned Mayra Bueno Silva first. But if you talk like that, you're not really understanding the sport of MMA and how significant that moment was. Up until that takedown, you know, Montana De La Rosa had committed so much energy to get that takedown that if the referee would have just separated them, put them back in the center of the cage, and, you know, warned Mayra Bueno Silva without any, you know, any repercussions for the cage grab, it would have put De La Rosa at a huge disadvantage because she already would have burnt so much energy to get the takedown and not actually got it. And on top of that, it has given, you know, Mayra Bueno Silva a little bit of time in that clinch position to feel out Montana De La Rosa, you know, settle into a rhythm, you know, get reads on the techniques De La Rosa is likely to hit to try and get the fight to the ground. And therefore, you know, into the second and third round, De La Rosa, if she tried to use that technique again, she wouldn't have got the takedown, perhaps because Bueno Silva would have been prepared for it. So you needed to punish Mayra Bueno Silva because of how much energy De La Rosa put into that takedown. Had the referee done nothing, it would have been a disgrace. So if you do think that was a harsh decision from the referee, I would just urge you to educate yourself on the sport and how significant that moment was in the fight. Now, even though the referee did the best he could in that situation, and I love the fact that he did deduct a point, De La Rosa was still the loser in this situation. She was still penalised very heavily because when you look at how weak Mayra Bueno Silva is on her back, we know that if De La Rosa could have gotten the fight to the ground, she would have dominated from top position. We saw at the end of the second round when De La Rosa took Silva down with about a minute and a half left to go. De La Rosa mounted Silva within about 30 to 40 seconds and completely dominated De La Rosa, completely dominated Silva from top position from mount. She also did a decent amount of damage with that ground and pound from top position. The whole reason why we bet on De La Rosa is because we knew if she could get the fight to the ground, Silva was very low level on the ground and very weak off her back. You know, we saw that at the end of the second round. So what was really annoying about this decision is when De La Rosa was about to hit that takedown with about 2 minutes left to go in round 1, had she completed that takedown, you know, had Silva not grabbed the cage, De La Rosa would have completed that takedown and probably, controlled Silva for the rest of the first round from top position, wore on Silva, and decisively won round one. What happened instead was, when Silva grabbed the cage and the referee separated and deducted a point and put him in the center of the cage, because De La Rosa had exerted so much energy trying to get the takedown up until that point, she'd kind of burnt herself out a little bit, and so she didn't have the energy in the first round to get the fight back to the ground. That enabled Mayra Bueno Silva to outstrike De La Rosa for the remainder of round one, which resulted in round one being a draw. It ended 9-9 because Silva won the round 10-9. The point deduction took it back to a 9-9. De La Rosa lost out because had Silva not grabbed the cage and De La Rosa would have completed that takedown, De La Rosa likely would have finished the round in a dominant position with 1 or 2 minutes of top control, and instead De La Rosa would have won round one 10-9. On top of that, one of the main reasons why De La Rosa struggled into the second and third round is because Silva's takedown defense looked significantly better than it had done in the past. Silva has improved her takedown defense by an order of magnitude. That's not the same fighter that we saw fighting Mara Romero Borello and Marina Moroz or Gillian Robertson. Silva is improving her takedown defense at a rapid rate, and you know what? With how nasty her striking is, she continues to improve her takedown defense at that rate. She's going to be a bit of a nightmare in this division. Unfortunately, we still saw she's very, very weak off her back. We've seen that in all of her fights now. Even the fights where she submitted Robertson and Barella, she still looked very weak off her back in those fights and kind of caught Barella and Robertson cold. But her takedown defense is improving, even if her ground game still looks a little bit shaky. Having said that, the reason why De La Rosa struggled so much in the second and third round is because she burnt so much energy trying to get the takedown in the first, and then De La Rosa was a lot less effective in the second and third, but she still won the second round by taking Silva down with 2 minutes left to go, mounting her and inflicting a decent amount of damage with ground and pound, from mount position. So De La Rosa got screwed, we got screwed. Had Silva not grabbed the cage, De La Rosa would have won round one, likely won the second round, and would have had a good chance of winning the third as well, because you've got to remember, one of the reasons why Silva was able to cause De La Rosa so much trouble in the second and third round, because she was fresher than De La Rosa. Had she been taken down in round one and being, forced to carry De La Rosa's body weight and have De La Rosa wear on her for a couple of minutes at the end of round one, slightly Silva would have looked a lot flatter in the second and third, which would have resulted in this fight being a lot more competitive, and perhaps De La Rosa would have won even more easily. So we got completely screwed on this. That's just the way it is. Very, very unlucky. Silva looked great. I want to take absolutely nothing away from Silva. Her striking is phenomenal. She's one of the nastiest strikers in the division. She's making huge improvements to her takedown defense, and she looked absolutely great on Saturday night. A hell of a lot better than she looked in the past. But that cage grab was a very significant moment. It completely changed the path of the fight, and had she not grabbed that cage, I strongly believe De La Rosa would have won this with about... If you're asking me what percentage I would have given De La Rosa winning that fight had Silva not grabbed the cage and instead been taken down, I'd say De La Rosa had an 80% chance of winning. So we got unlucky, but we had our money in a strong position, and at the end of the day we didn't lose. A draw means we got our money back, so it wasn't the end of the world. That was it for official bets. So we went just over 10 units for the month on live bets, just under 3 units for the month on official bets, and we now move into the lab to see how our lab bets did. So loose bets got off to a really, really, really strong start this month, and I was very, very much looking forward to a huge month on the lab bets. We kicked things off in a big way with obviously a lab bet on Britain Hart at BKFC Knucklemania. We've already spoken about that one. But then the UFC Fight Night card between Overeem and Volkov just went absolutely brilliant for us. We hit multiple underdogs and banked a really, really big winner for the night. So, the first lab bet we had, we took Sung Woo Choi to beat Yusuf Zalal as a big underdog. He came through for us, which was brilliant. If we then move on to the rest of the bets for that card, we had another big underdog win on Danilo Marquez to beat Mike Rodriguez. Great value on Marquez. He came through for us huge. We've already spoken about Guida. He came through for us on the lab again. We took a high-risk 1-unit gamble on Frankie Edgar that definitely didn't pay off. But at the end of the day, we're digging for value, and the high risk gambles on Sung Woo Choi, Danilo Marquez, and Clay Guida did pay off, which more than covers our small loss on Edgar. We then also bet on Alexander Volkov to beat Alistair Overeem, and he came through for us in a big way. The loose lab bets performed very well on that card. We then went into we also had Carol Rosa, 2 units on Carol Rosa, very nice. We then went into UFC 258 Burns versus Usman, and obviously, we started the month strong with Overeem versus Volkov, but then we were hit with 3 really, really tricky cards for pre-fight bets. Like I say, that Burns Usman card, Blades Lewis card, Gan Rosenstrike card, which is very, very difficult from a pre-fight betting point of view, to the extent that, on this Overeem versus Volkov card, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 loose lab bets for the Overeem versus Volkov card, and we only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 loose lab bets for the 3 cards that followed, which just goes to show how difficult February was for betting. 3 really, really crappy cards from a pre-fight betting point of view. But we did have 3 bets for the Burns versus Usman card. We took Ricky Simone to beat Brian Kelleher, 2 units on that. Gastelum to beat Heinisch, 2 units on that. And we took a high-risk 1 unit gamble on Gilbert Burns, which didn't pay off. But again, overall, those big underdog gambles we took in February paid off. Overall, we hit great profits overall. So on that event, we went 2-1 for an overall profit of just under a unit. Then we only had 1 loose lab bet on the UFC Fight Night Blades versus Lewis card. Danny Chavez, he lost, and not really too much to say about that. And then we had just a 1 unit bet on Montana De La Rosa as our only loose bet on the last card. So 2 or 3 really crappy cards for pre-fight betting last month, in February. But the good news is we were still able to bank a very, very solid profit for the month. As you can see here, we made about 6.5 units on these loose lab bets for the month of February. And as you can see, just a brilliant looking profitability chart. Since we started tracking our results on these bets a year ago, it's been non-stop profits. A little bit of a dip here over the winter period, but a beautiful uptrend, and these loose bets are just going from strength to strength. Very strong month for us in February, and with so many solid cards coming up in March, I'm very much looking forward to what we can do with these loose bets in March, because they've been going absolutely great for us. This profitability chart looks phenomenal. If we can keep this profitability chart going, it's going to start to look a lot like our profitability chart on live betting. That's when we can start to make that big fuck you helicopter money and really start to do big things. So we then go on to our main event picks, which did not do well in February. That really, along with prop bets, the only kind of bet that didn't do well. We kicked the month off, obviously going with Britain Hart. She came through for us in a big way. We also took Alexander Volkanovski over Alistair Overeem. He came through for us. Then we took Burns. He lost. Then we took Curtis Blades. Took a big loss there. And we took Cyril Gann last week. He came through for us. The main event picks are just not doing well. You can come to the lab and read about this experiment in more detail, but the main event picks, the purpose of this experiment is to see if, despite despite us not having a mathematical edge when we bet every single main event fight, is to see if our knowledge and fight research can still produce a profit and outweigh mathematical plus EV bets. At the moment, it's not working out on main event bets, but it is working out on even money bets, which we will show in just a second. So the basic premise behind the main event bets are: I am forced to bet every single main event fight. Gun to head, I have to put something in. What this means is that I have to go for bets like 3 units on Conor McGregor, like 5 units on Curtis Blades. I have to go for bets that I would never place. But that's the nature of this experiment. As a result, because I'm forced to place bets that I don't want to, forced to place bets that I don't think are very good, forced to play bets that I don't personally feel have value, this experiment over the last year is down 10 units, and it currently is the only lab experiment that is at a loss. We'll keep going. The whole nature of this experiment is we're going to keep going, for 2-3 years on every experiment, and then see what's working well, see what isn't. But so far, main event bets, absolute car crash, not performing well. let's actually talk about the even money bets now, because that's quite a nice segue into this experiment, which is going really good. So the main event picks experiment, is set up under the theory that, we do 20 to 30 hours of fight research every week. So maybe, irrespective of any mathematical edge the bookies may have, maybe our knowledge of the sport and our fight research outweighs that. And maybe if we force ourselves to just go with our instincts and place bets over the long term, we'll be able to outperform the betting sites on main event picks. At the moment, that's not happening, but it is a small sample size with only, a year's worth of bets. Even money bets, on the other hand, is a very similar experiment. This is where we are forced to pick one fighter in every single even money fight. So what that means is any fight where you've got the two fighters in the odds range from 1.65 to 2.30, I have to put a pick in here. So the theory again being, irrespective of any mathematical edge the bookie might have, our fight research knowledge of the sport could outweigh that and could trump that. So by me being forced to pick a winner in every even money fight, we're basically trying to see it. We're trying to see if we can beat the line, basically. And this experiment's been going really well. So we kicked things off. We went for Britain Hart to win at even money. She came through for us. On the UFC Fight Night Overeem versus Volkov card, we had Pantoja and Gutierrez to beat Ewell and Manel Cap. They came through for us. We picked Carlos Diego Ferreira to beat Beneil Dariush. That was a loser. But I think there's more on this card. There is. We also went with Gabe Green to beat Philip Rowe. Philip Rowe to beat Gabe Green. That was a loser. So that's 2-2 on those so far. But then we hit Alexa Grasso to beat Macy Barber and Polyana Viana to beat Mallory Martin. So overall, on the Burns versus Usman event, we went 4-2 on even money bets, and that doesn't include Britain Hart. Is that right? If we include Britain Hart, it would be 3-1. 3-1, 3-2, 4-2. So yeah, 5-2 on even money bets on the Burns versus Usman card, if you include the Britain Hart bet. Then moving on to the Blades versus Lewis card. Even though we didn't have many pre-fight bets in terms of loose bets, official bets, there were a lot of even money fights on this card. So we went for Castaneda to beat Wineland. That was a winner. Landwehr to beat Rosa. That was a loser. Casey O'Neill to beat Shayna Dobson. That was a winner. Phil Hawes to beat Nazardine Imavev. That was a winner. And Danny Chavez to beat Jared Gordon. That was a loser. So on those bets, we went 1, 2, 3, 3-2 for 3-2 for an overall profit. Oh, I guess it's going to be just under a unit, but 3-2 on those. Okay, so on the most recent card, Gan versus Rosenstrike, we had two even money bets. There were only two fights on this card in the even money odds range. We went for Pedro Munoz to beat Jimmy Rivera. He came through for us at underdog odds, which was very, very nice. And we also took De La Rosa to beat Moero Bueno Silva, which will go down as a push, break even, draw. And again, make sure you get your money back from the bookies on that. So even money bets are doing very, very well. The main event bets, since we started, those gun to the head main event bets have not been doing well. But even though we've experienced some nasty variance here between August and December, we have bounced big time with a very, very solid month in February, making about 3.5 units of profit just on these even money bets, which is pretty cool. And it's very, very cool to see a difference here. So the two gun-to-head, betting strategies we've got in the lab at the moment, these main event picks, these even money bets. Main event picks are performing very, very badly. Even money bets are performing very, very good. So I'm looking forward to seeing what happens over the next 2 or 3 years. Have we just had a bad year on main event picks? Some short-term variance, which will, correct itself, and we'll start to do really, really well over the next 2 to 3 years on the main event picks. With these even money bets, are we getting lucky at the moment? Is this short-term variance on the upside? And will we start to perform badly on these even money bets over the next 2-3 years? Personally, I don't think that's going to happen with these even money bets, because we now have a really good sample size, banking a profit over 144 bets. It's a pretty good sample size, especially when every single one of these bets is a level stakes 1 unit bet. So I'm very, very optimistic about these even money bets, and they just help continue the really amazing success that the lab bets are having. Then the final experiment that we need to talk about are going to be our over-under bets, and it was a very good month for over-unders. We didn't have many over-under bets. You guys know that I like to snipe these, but when I do recommend the over-under bets, they tend to win a very, very high clip. So we had 4 over-under bets this month. We went for under 4.5 rounds in the Overeem versus Volkov fight. That was an easy winner, and by far my most confident bet. Probably, I would say, my most confident bet of the month. Under 4.5 rounds on this was just absolutely insane. We knew Overeem wouldn't have the gas tank to keep up with the pace that Volkov would set over 5 rounds, and we knew Volkov was very, very vulnerable on his back, so if he got taken down, Overeem would have been able to cause him big trouble with the ground and pound that he inflicted on Augusto Sakai. That was my most confident bet of the month easily, and that turned out to be an easy winner. We also went for the under 2.5 rounds on Rosa and Landwehr, just because both guys were so reckless, so bad defensively, and had such a long history of getting rocked, wobbled, dropped, knocked out. It was inevitable that this fight was going to end inside the distance. We went for under 2.5 rounds on the Charles Rosa versus Derek Minner fight. That was a loser. And then we went for over 2.5 rounds in the Hernandez versus Moises fight from this past weekend. We went 3-1 on the month for over-under bets, which gave us an overall profit of about 2.5 units, which is very nice. And just like the other experiments in the lab, we have had a little bit of variance. Here this was quite a nice, nasty little dip at the beginning of the year. But for the most part, the profitability chart is just up, up, up. And we are performing really, really well on these over-under bets. Like I've said throughout this video, the lab could really be a game changer for us. The profitability of these lab bets has been excellent over the last year. We're always coming up with new ideas that add new experiments. And, this is a way that we can squeeze more money, more profitability out of the hours and hours and hours we put into fight research every week. And this could really be a game changer for us. The only reason why I'm not already flying around in a helicopter from the profits we've made in live betting is obviously because the max bet limits are a lot lower in live betting than they are in pre-fight betting. If we can continue to grind out profitability levels like this in the lab, it is going to be an absolute game changer for us. And with how hard we work, with the sample size that we've built up already, and how much we know about the sport and how much we know about gambling, I see absolutely no reason why we can't keep this going, have an amazing 2021, and really, really take things to the next level. I'm dead serious. I've always worked hard. And 2020 is the hardest I've ever worked. I never get a chance to do anything I want to do. I'm not joking, I'm not exaggerating. I just work. I never do anything that I actually want to do. And so if I'm going to make that sacrifice, I need to make sure that I'm getting absolute maximum return for the time I'm losing with all the work that I'm putting in. So it's very important to me that these lab bets turn out to be a success, because I should be way better off than I am for how much we know about MMA and how much time we put into learning and how much work we put in. So if I'm going to be spending 20 to 30 hours a week chained at my desk watching fight after fight after fight after fight, I need that fuck you helicopter money, and I ain't gonna stop until I get it. So we'll continue working hard. I'm looking forward to jumping into these fights this week. UFC 259 is a great card to research, stacked top to bottom. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully you'll join me in the live streams, and yeah man, let's get it. Let's have another big match, because like Dale said, hard work is undefeated, and we're gonna fucking go hard in March, and we're gonna give ourselves the best chance possible of having another profitable month. So thank you for watching, everyone. Have a great week, have a great day, and yeah, I'll speak to you soon.